So as part of our practical life, we have to teach classroom etiquette. So everyday skills that we need the children to understand and develop before they ever take an activity from the shelf. The children need to know how to talk in the classroom, how to walk in the classroom, how to create and use their workspace, how to carry or move their chair in and out from under the table, how to carry their chair to stack it, how to roll a work mat, how to fold a floor mat, how to carry a tray with an activity on it. They may need in your classroom to know how to open and close drawers, to open and close doors. And then we also need to look at the cycle of activity. So under our everyday skills in the classroom, these are the things we need to be able to do. So we're going to explore these first. So it's really important that you talk to the children in a calm voice, a gentle voice, a soft voice. And when you're speaking to the children, you get down to their level, you make eye contact so the child knows that it's this child or this group of children that are being spoken to. But at the same time, please don't interrupt them if they are busy working or concentrating. Always listen to what your children have to say to you. Remind them of ground rules if necessary. Use positive language, so reinforcing what they do need to do, not what they shouldn't be doing. So if you see children run in your classroom, we don't say stop running, because we need to give a positive instruction of what we do need to see them do. So I would walk over to the child and bob down at their height and say, oh, do you remember how to move in the classroom? So we're questioning them. And the child will say, hopefully, I need to walk. If they don't know, then we say, well, we should walk. And I would invite the child to hold my hand. I would walk back to the point from where the running started. And then I would walk with the child across the room. And I would say, oh, wow, this is such great walking. I can see that you can walk in the classroom. This is clever. And then through this gentle reminder and consistency, every time you see a child run, you need to gently take them back and walk, so they realise that walking is the acceptable movement within the classroom. So we talk gently, we teach children to walk. So the other thing about talking in the classroom, sometimes the classroom environment becomes too noisy. So we can teach the children about the quiet bell. So this is the quiet bell. You could have a little china bell, a little metal bell. The main thing is that it's just a gentle ding. It's not a great big noise or a cowbell. So to teach the children about the quiet bell, I would firstly have the children in a circle, and I would say, this is the quiet bell. And when we hear it ring, it's a reminder that we just need to lower our voices and work quietly. So eventually, when the children have used this a few times, they will understand that we just ring the bell and the children will then lower their voices and continue working. So these are the things that you don't do. You don't ring the bell and then say, quiet please, because then the children will always wait for your voice. It is the bell, the third party, which is reminding them that the room is just a little bit too noisy and they need to calm and focus. Okay, so you do not have to have every child look up at you when you ring the bell. You need to get to the point where ringing the bell just gently means that the children hear it and they refocus on what they're doing. Now, if there are a little group that are particularly noisy, you could just walk near so you're closer to them with the bell and gently ring it. Okay, so this is a great thing to practice in circle time. Ask the children to talk, and as soon as they hear the bell, ask them to become quiet. So you practice. They're making lots of noise and you ring the bell and they go quietly. So we're not looking for silence, but we are looking for them to calm their voices so that the work cycle remains calm. So the bell can be rung by children or an adult, and you'll find that once the children understand the use of this, they actually really like a calm, quiet environment to work in. So they will become very capable of ringing the quiet bell themselves. So it always has to have its same place in the classroom on the shelf so they know where it is. So that's part of their sense of order, their guaranteed environment. This is where it should be. Okay, so we've looked at talking and we've looked at walking in the classroom. Okay, so with the workspace, we looked at this in the previous video. The child takes their mat, they choose where they want to work, they put their mat out, they work with their activity for as long as they wish, and then when they're finished, they stand up and tuck their chair in, take their work back to the shelf, and then come back for their mat. So they may come back with more work, in which case the mat doesn't need putting away, but the whole time the mat is there, it's signifying this is my workspace. So you could, even with small groups of children when they're new, practice rolling a mat, because this is a skill in itself. So the bamboo mats that I have here, these are great for younger children because the little pieces means that they're easy to roll. They can't go out of line with them. By the time the children are 2.5 to 3, I would have moved on to the fabric mats. So if you're in the UK, shops like IKEA sell mats like this. So if children are working on the floor, then we have a floor mat. So this is then a folding activity. So this is too big, I feel, to roll. I find these are better folded, and then they store nicely in a flat basket, and the child just takes the top mat rather than having long rolls of mats sticking out of a basket. I prefer this. So rolling for your table, folding for the floor. Okay. So we mentioned chairs. It's really important that children can lift their chair in and out quietly, that they can carry their chair to stack it. So to teach carrying a chair, I stand to the side of the chair, so my legs are against the side of the seat. I put one hand on the back of the chair, so the raised part, one hand under the seat of the chair, and then I lift the chair gently, I carry it to where it needs to be, and I put it down. Now, a good way to get children to do this without clonking and banging their chair about is to say, oh, are you strong enough to lift your chair and move it quietly? Everybody wants to be strong, especially some of those boisterous and energetic children that you've got. So if you encourage children to understand that it takes strength to move a chair quietly, then that is what they'll want to be. They'll want to be strong, and so they'll move their chair quietly. Again, we can within the room praise the child for doing this. Wow, I love that you can move your chair quietly. That takes so much strength. And then the other children will also want to feel that you understand they have this strength, and they will carry their chair and tuck it in and out quietly too. Okay. Carrying apparatus. So most of practical life is going to be on a tray, unless of course it's a dressing frame. So again, teaching children how to carry a tray. They just carry their tray. They go to the shelf first and they find a mat and bring it back and put it on the table. They now have their workspace that nobody else is going to take, and they can come back to it. Then when they bring their tray, they have two hands on their tray carrying their apparatus. And it's really important that if you see children not doing this, that you just gently remind them, oh, just remember, what do we take first? So again, use questioning. Oh, I take my mat first. Wonderful, I'm so pleased that you remembered that. So pop your mat out and then come back and choose your work. There's too many movements involved in having the mat stuck under my arm and trying to grip that with my elbow and carrying my tray and misbalancing everything. So it's really important that we build in this sequence of sensible movements so they become a tidy worker. Okay. So you may have things stored in drawers for the children. So again, we need to teach the children how to control themselves and pour drawers in and out quietly. They may have to move to other rooms, so it's important that we show children how to open and close doors carefully so they don't get their fingers trapped or bang the doors at all. So anything within your environment that needs working with, which is a practical skill, just go through your room and think, is there anything else I need to teach my children? So once they have these skills, so we understand to be quiet, we can use our table mat, our floor mat. We've walked in the classroom. So this is a lovely activity. This is a walking on the line. So this is very long. We can put this out the length of the classroom. Some of you may have a taped line or a painted line on the floor. And so with the children, we can practice walking and balancing on the line with control. So this gives them lots of skills they need. First of all, it teaches them to walk in the classroom, but also with the balance, they can then hold their tray. So you can practice balancing, walking along the line, holding the bell to see if they can walk without making a noise, to see if they can balance with something on their head, with their hands out at their side, carrying an empty tray. or just purely walking heel to toe up the line to increase their balance. So this is a really nice group activity, especially in the first week with your new children. So they will come and sit down in a little group, take their shoes off, put them in a pair, store them neatly, which again is another skill, because if I don't store my shoes neatly, they'll be all over the place when I come back. So they're learning responsibility for their belongings. And then one at a time, the children come up, they heel to toe walk down the line and join the back of the queue, and then the next child goes. I've also done a similar skill to this in the garden. So you could have a big chalk line or a painted line in the garden, and a row of chairs, and the children learn to sit on the chair, wait their turn, walk up the line, join the back of the queue again, and that's a really nice activity to do outside as well. So these are your really early classroom skills that you need to establish with your children, so you have their classroom manners, their classroom etiquette, before we move on to lots of other skills. They must be able to do these things. So another important aspect is their own personal hygiene. So we need to teach the children when they arrive in the morning to wash their hands, because by washing their hands, they're showing respect for the materials, they're removing any germs, and then they can rub their hands together to sensitize their fingers, so they have good feeling for what they're doing. So washing hands needs to happen when they arrive in the morning, every time they blow their nose or use a tissue, and whenever they've been to the toilet, and before they're going to eat. So it's really important to instill good hand washing with the children as part of their practical life. It is one of their skills. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed listening to that, and if you'd like to carry on working through, we will have some presentations of pouring activities